Welcome, everyone. This webinar is the third in our series about Brook by Rosie AI. Today, we're talking about using an AI receptionist to support your guest care team. Today, we're going to be in conversation with three amazing guests. We have Ann Sharpe, Jen Burns, and Danielle Rutz, and they're here to share their real experiences with using Brook in their salons and spas. Thank you so much for being here today. I want to just briefly introduce everybody. So, Ann Sharpe is the owner of Avalon SalonSpas, which has three locations in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And Jen Burns is the central booking lead at Avalon. And then we have Danielle, who is the digital marketing director at C'Zar Salons Spa, which coincidentally also three locations. This is around Chicago, Illinois area. Thanks everyone for being here. I will come back to you after doing a little bit of an introduction to the Brook product and why we're here. Okay, so what is the context? Why are we talking about a virtual assistant at all? So, if you're in the audience today, you've probably experienced some of these challenges that people often experience in the salon or spa. The first one is missed calls during peak hours. You're probably missing calls, and you might already be worried about revenue that you're potentially losing from those missed calls. The second is just how you feel when you're in the salon or spa. Like, is there a sense of overwhelm because you're trying to do something, check someone out, provide a service, and then the phone rings and it kind of interrupts you in whatever you're doing? And then there's the matter of what happens to your clients who try to contact you after you're closed, so after hours or during holidays and things like that. Are you just losing bookings? Are those bookings or potential bookings lost forever? And then there's a kind of old fashioned problem that continues to plague us in our businesses, which is voicemail. Voicemail is really time consuming to follow up on. It engages your team for extended periods of time, and your clients may not like leaving voicemails in the first place. So it's not super efficient and not super liked. When Brooke joins your team, you get an AI receptionist that does a lot of things for you. For starters, Brooke keeps working after hours. So Brooke is 24/7. And what Brooke can do is help your clients with self-service. So whatever they're calling for, if they want to book an appointment, reschedule, even make a cancellation according to your policies, Brooke will allow them to do that. And your whatever the client called to do actually gets reflected in real time in the booking software. So the AI assistant is not just taking a message, but it's actually taking those actions for you. Now, what can that do in terms of just how it can help your team? So, for starters, this can really lead to a dramatic reduction in how much time your team needs to spend dealing with these phone calls. So, you can see up to a 65% reduction in calls that require human handling. And then all of these bookings that you were missing after hours needed to follow up with and so on. Now there's a pathway for people to just make their own bookings. So you might actually be surprised how much revenue you're able to capture just with even, let's say, after hours calls alone. And then the last one, which, is it's something that I care about because I don't love voicemail myself. Brook can really help you reduce your voicemails to zero. And the reason for that is Brook is not a person, it's an AI solution. So there's no limit on how many calls can be taken at the same time. So there's really no reason to send someone to voicemail at all. Now, Brooke is a very powerful tool. She'll be handling your calls potentially 24/7, managing appointments in your software. When you have a tool like that, it's really important to have full visibility into what that tool is doing. And which is why Brooke comes along with a one-stop shop, a single dashboard where you can look at every single interaction that has taken place and have a chance to do quality control, look at follow-ups and so on. And I'll show you a little preview of the dashboard in a moment. And finally, just in terms of setup, what does it take to actually set Brook up for your business and get started? So Brook comes with a turnkey setup, meaning that all you have to do is plug Brook into your software and she has everything she needs to get started. So um, we have a robust integration with a handful of salon booking softwares, and We work with you in case there are customizations and things like that, but basically the setup is very easy, and I think we can talk about that a little more in the Q&A too. Now, as a business owner or manager, if you're here, you might have some thoughts about AI already. You might even have some misgivings. But it's interesting, we've found again and again that clients appreciate the convenience of self-service. And one of the reasons why they do is there's this core feature of Brook's design that we really don't think that a client who's on the phone should ever be boxed in and forced to talk to the AI. So we always provide a path that if somebody says, hey, I want to talk to the front desk, I don't want to talk to the AI, we always make that path really easy. And so I think that's one of the reasons why Brook has had a good reception in general. We continuously strive to keep Brook, sounding natural and easy to talk to. And, maybe you are hearing this demo coming up and you think Brook can join your team. That's my hope. So I've told you a lot about Brook, but let me actually show you Brook in action. So let's move on to a little bit of a demo. So I'll start with making an appointment. What does this experience sound like and feel like? Let me just hit play on this.
Are you calling about your upcoming appointment on Tuesday, March 3rd?
No, I'm actually calling to book a haircut, please.
Last time, you had a short hair clipper cut with Parker Posey. Would you like to book that again?
Sure. Does she have any availability on Thursday?
Let me check Parker Posey's openings for Thursday. Parker Posey is available on Thursday at 9 o'clock, 9:30, or 10 a.m. Which time works for you?
10 a.m. would be good.
Starting price is $45. Shall I book it?
Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
You're all set. Your appointment is booked. Anything else I can help with today?
No, that's all for now. Thank you. Okay, so what happened on that call? A few things I want to highlight. So Brooke recognized me as a returning client, greeted me by name, and really made the most of having my history on hand and was able to help me quickly rebook the kind of haircut I had had the last time with the stylist I'd had the last time. And as you saw in the video, even before the call ended, the appointment actually popped up in the booking software. Okay, so you might be thinking about other use cases too, like not just booking. What happens if someone calls in to, say, make a cancellation or change an appointment? Let's see how that works.
Hi, Susan. Welcome back to Avalon SalonSpas. I'm Brook, a virtual assistant helping out our front desk. You have some upcoming appointments. Are you calling about them?
Yes, I'd like to cancel my appointments, please.
You have a women's haircut at 10:45 a.m. and a full hair color at 11:15 a.m., both with Carrie Stewart on February 24th. Do you want to cancel both or just one?
Please cancel both of them.
Would you like to reschedule these appointments instead?
No, not right now.
Could you share why you'd like to cancel?
I have a work conflict, so I can't make that time.
Got it. Cancel your appointments now. Please hold on. You're all set. Your appointments are canceled. Is there anything else I can help with today?
No, that's all. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great night, Joby.
Thanks, Brooke. Bye-bye. Okay, so a couple of features I want to highlight about that call. So Brooke knew that I have an upcoming appointment, and we've looked this up from your salon booking software, and caller ID has happened. All of this is happening under the hood. And so Brooke was able to start by asking me, hey, are you calling about this appointment? So that was a piece of client history lookup that is really important to, making this flow go well. There was another important little touch point, which was Brooke kind of gently tried to get me to reschedule. And if I had agreed to reschedule, that would help you keep your revenue on the books. In this particular case, I said, let's go ahead and cancel. And I was able to cancel with Brooke because my appointment was a little bit far off in the future. If I had called, say, within 24 hours, We know that with most salons and spas, short notice cancellations are handled in a special manner. So, either you can have Brooke actually transfer that call over to your desk, and you can handle it yourself, or Brooke can say, I am not going to handle this, but let me get someone to call you back. And there are a couple of other options there. In fact, one that is in use by one of the salons on here today is Brook will allow you to do a short notice cancellation, but then gently remind you, hey, we do have a policy. All right. So this is the third in our webinar series. And so, every webinar, I really want to introduce one more new feature. And so one of the recent features that we've come up with that we're very excited about is Brook is available on SMS as well. So you can actually text Brook and have a conversation. Let me just start that demo, and you can see that the SMS experience actually has all the features of the voice experience, along with some optimizations that make it better suited for just the texting format. So on the screen, what you're seeing is basically the same booking flow that you heard on the phone earlier. Let's just see how that goes. So I'm asking for a haircut. We're able to do the client history lookup and things like that. All of those pieces are the same. This experience is actually available on web chat as well. So if you wanted to have this not just on SMS, but on your website as like a little chat pop-up, you would have essentially the same experience there too. The idea here is really to just make available a bunch of different modalities where your clients can reach you in different ways depending on their comfort level. So if they don't want to pick up the phone and make a phone call, which is often the case, right? Even I prefer texting. There's a place for them to text you and have the same benefits of self-service, be able to book with Brook even if they're texting you at 1 a.m. So obviously there's no person available, but Brook will be able to handle that. Okay, so this is going to end up being a booked appointment. I want to call out one difference between this experience and the phone experience is on the phone, if your client says, can I speak to someone, a real person, your front desk, we will transfer them right away. Now, on text, just because texting is asynchronous, meaning you don't have to really reply in real time, you can also reply later at your own convenience. And so, a feature that's coming soon is Brook will be able to actually catch those contacts and show them to you on a dashboard. This is a good moment actually to just pivot to showing you what that dashboard looks like. So just give me a moment. I'll just switch my screen here. All right, so let me pull that up. So what's coming soon? This is kind of an early preview that I wanted to share. When somebody is engaged in a texting conversation with Brooke, or a conversation on a web chat with Brooke, and they want to kind of escalate and talk to you in person, those incoming chats will now begin to come in here. And we'd love to hear feedback on this as we develop this feature. Now, the dashboard is already in use by all the businesses that Brook is live with. And what's in the dashboard today that everybody uses is the analytics section and the follow-up section. So just about analytics, this is going to provide you with a variety of different types of insights. So the first type of insight is really high level, what did people call for? What was the reason for their engagement? What were the outcomes? What happened on that call? Was Brooke able to take a booking, reschedule a booking? Was there a follow-up needed? Things like that. This one is really important, the booked value. This is really all of the money that has passed through Brook. So this will tell you, very quickly that Brook as a tool is able to pay for itself by bringing in new appointments, and also keeping your reschedules on the books and retaining that revenue. So these are some of the high level metrics. Now, in addition to this, is also the data section, which is really for deep dives, for quality control. When Brook has taken an action, if you see here resolved calls, you can take a look at what happened on the call by actually looking at the entire transcript. So this is every single interchange that has happened between Brook and your client. So you have complete visibility here. And in addition to that, there's also a lot of extracted information, in columns so that you can see it easily, like who is the person who called, what was their phone number, when did they call, things like that. And what was their intent, why did they call, what happened, etc. Now, while this was kind of our initial idea, we were getting feedback from, front desk and reception staff, and they said, listen, what we want is we want a separate section that only contains calls that do in fact require a follow-up. So you'll see some of these say resolved and some say to follow up. So what we did was we responded to that feedback by creating this dedicated follow-up section. This is really a view that is intended to really help the front desk or reception staff. And it's almost just like a checklist. So you can review what are the calls that require a follow-up, and you can already see some of them say follow-up done. And what you can do is similarly kind of review the general information about the call, look at the transcript, and then call back the person, do whatever was needed. And what you can do after is mark done. Now, this is really helpful, especially if you have multiple people working in shifts and so on. So each person needs to know, like, what is the work that I need to take up and what is the work that's been done already. So when I click mark done, this already records who I am because I'm logged in. And let's say I enter a sample note. Now you can see it says follow up done. So this is really a checklist functionality that we want to, be very practically useful for people using the dashboard. With that, I think that is what I wanted to do in terms of just introducing the product and giving you some it's just some background. And I want to switch now to the part that everyone's really waiting for, which is I want to move on to the Q&A with Ann, Jen, and Danielle. So, folks, whenever you're ready to be on camera, you can go ahead.
And I just want to close out as we're getting set up for the next segment here, Jyoti. I do want to mention while we were looking at the booking use case, the canceling use case, all of that, I want to impress upon the audience here that what Brook is an enterprise grade solution with where we have accounted for the security, scalability, performance, and making sure that our R&D team is keeping all the latest technology that is available in this AI era and bringing that to the beauty industry, right? So, and it learns from your system, so you don't have to configure anything. So whatever salon management software you're using, it learns about your staff, your stylists, your, the descriptions, the experience and the categories that you would set up in there, things like add-ons, finishes, etc. All of the domain specific knowledge that Brook needs to know to provide the front desk service is derived directly from your business setting, and it knows right off the bat. So with that, over to you, Jyoti.
Thanks, Vinay. Okay, so I'm going to ask the Avalon folks a question first. So, hi, Anne. Hi, Jen. How's it going?
Hello, great.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So, Anne, just as the owner of a multi-location salon and spa, I want to just understand, what were some of the things going through your head, just in terms of your business needs that prompted you to go for a solution like Brook?
So actually, this was something I had saw through Imaginal Marketing, similar to this, an invitation to join a webinar, and I expressed interest in learning more. We have a central booking team for our 3 locations, 1 incoming phone number. Previous to that, we had 1 incoming phone number, but then we had redirect to press uptown, 1 for uptown, 2 for downtown, and 3 for north. And so we did create a central booking team where one number and then the team would answer for all locations. And we're receiving about 100 to 200 calls a day, depending on the day of the week, and training the team to understand the dynamics of everyone and their needs for booking. We just felt like a lot of calls were ending up going to voicemail, and we were looking for a solution of how, so they would hang up from their calls and then they would have to go check voicemail and they would have to do outbound calls. So we were looking at some solutions. One of them was another company which did a lot of text-based. We explored that. And then when we saw this, we thought, you know what, let's try it and see if it can work. And so Jen, who leads central booking, we had gotten 3 separate phone numbers, one for each location from you as a demo. I think we trialed it. We did an excessive trial, made a lot of changes, but we ultimately ended up connecting one number for all 3 locations through our Ring Central line. We started off by eliminating our voicemail. So after hours, we went softly. We do have older, very loyal demographic as well. We were afraid that we were really afraid that they would be offended. So we thought, you know what, let's try it after hours and see what little tweaks we need to make. And doing it after hours, we did pick up on a few things that we needed for our business, such as we give people a deadline for confirmations at 6 p.m. So if someone's calling and they can't reach, voicemail can't confirm for them. But the folks at Brook and Rosie, you made it so that she can take her confirmation. So then all of a sudden, better than voicemail, we had her taking confirmations when we couldn't reach her. And so it's just been a real, I would say it's very palatable and flexible. You've really worked with us on our needs and our dashboard. And it's just been really interesting. We're watching this evolve and we're excited for what's yet to come. Would you like to add anything, Jen?
Just, Brooke has become such a fixture in our world that she's referred to now as our third person. She's kind of taken that spot. So when we do have people that are out, because one of the challenges with guest service and answering phones and having everyone in place is that not everyone's in place at all the times. They're sick and they're out on vacation. So having Brooke kind of step in that place has changed absolutely everything that we've known guest service to really be. So it's exciting.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you laying out the journey like that, because sometimes I'm too close to the product to really see how the journey has progressed. And some of the things that you've both mentioned, I want to kind of zoom in on those and just highlight them. So there were a lot of very important learnings that we got from the trial period with you. And this happens a lot. There are a lot of things that we have accounted for from user research we did previously. But for example, the fact that Brook did not initially have a confirmation flow and now Brook does, that was a direct consequence of feedback we heard from you. And we were like, okay, it looks like we really want Brook to be able to receive calls where people say, I'm just calling to confirm my appointment. It's a use case we hadn't really thought about, and now it's one we handle. The whole central booking setup also, it was a really big learning for us, and now we're able to offer that to other businesses who have a similar setup as well. So that's awesome. Let me maybe move on to Danielle. Danielle, thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. So I'm just wondering, so just for the audience to set some context, we've been doing this webinar series where we've really tried to represent different kinds of businesses. So we've had single location salons, and we've touched on central booking a little bit. For you, what is it like? And you are your digital marketing manager, is that your?
Yes, digital marketing director.
Excuse me. So Danielle, sorry for tripping over the title, but I know that you wear all of the hats. So, for me, you're a powerhouse running a lot of things behind the scenes at C'Zar. And so what is it like for 3 locations, and what has your experience been since you've trialed Brook? And, you were part of our beta, so you've been with us from the get-go.
Yes. So since August of last year, we've been a part of the beta program, and we worked one-on-one with Jody. And I just have to say, I've never worked with a company before that makes changes, positive changes that we suggest so quickly. And that is what separates Brook from anything else, in my opinion. But I come from a salon coordinator background, so I understand firsthand how that role, it can really wreck your nervous system, especially on your opening days. So there were times, and there still are, where our salon coordinators, our receptionists, will open the salon all by themselves. Maybe we just had someone move away. There's a lot of staff turnover. Maybe someone's sick. There's emergencies. And what would happen is we would come into a voicemail box, sometimes ranging from 30 voicemails to around the holidays, 50. And imagine trying to open the salon, listen to those voicemails, greet your staff, greet the first guests that are checking in. You can come in early all you want, but you're still going to have to be returning those phone calls all day. So the first thing we did was we were able to eliminate voicemails, and that's just, we went from like a fight or flight when we would walk in to like a rest and digest, I guess, because it was it's just done numbers for what we're able to do outside of, having a phone stuck to our ear. So I think that's a huge impact. But Brook works just as good as your software system. And we were lucky enough that we had a very organized service descriptions, timing. We use Forest, and all of that was already set. So all we had to do was the fine tweaks. So we worked with Jody, and sometimes we were able to rename services so it was better articulated over the phone, and Brooke understood what that person was actually asking for. So during that beta program, we not only fine-tuned Brooke, but we were also able to fine-tune our Forest booking system, which also helps like our online booking system too. And we don't have the text messages at all, but I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll be a game changer. I just had someone yesterday that said, I can't call or sit on the phone, I'm in a meeting, but do you have any options for a bang trim today? And so people are using that function now more than ever. But yeah, we're skeptical. I myself was definitely skeptical. I hate calling and getting a robot, especially for an industry that's so hands-on and connection, and it's all about people to people, person to person. So I was skeptical, but I knew how many problems Brooke would fix for us, and so I had to present that to our owners, who were just as skeptical, if not more. And as they saw the data and what it was doing for our support staff, they really came around, and now I don't know how we would live without it, to be honest with you.
Thank you, Danielle. Really appreciate listening to your feedback on this. And, it's again, it's just so striking to me. Some of these things are really framing our journey as, how we've developed Brook as well. So I've always appreciated your inputs about how just the calm has been impacted, from having your nerves run ragged to really be able to get a bit of peace of mind. And this is something really important to me. And I wanted to know, just like, I don't think I've ever asked you this, but are people using the follow-up tracker? Like, what has the uptake been?
The follow-up tracker, the dashboard?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know I emailed you the other day that about our emails, but they've been using that as like a crutch. So for anyone that's not aware, Brooke used to send us emails every single time someone would call in. And then as we were in the beta program, they were working on a dashboard. And that dashboard has been in effect for 2 months now, since the new year. So we have a couple people that are just making sure that what comes to the dashboard is also coming through email. Like, we're not missing anything since it's new, but we don't need it anymore. We don't need the emails anymore. Now that we have the dashboard. So I think the one issue that might come about is if somebody accidentally filters something on the dashboard incorrectly, and it's a quick fix. But yes, we are.
Yeah, so that's good to hear. I wanted to sort of just bring that up because there are, I know I said at the beginning, Brook has a turnkey setup, and that is, in the sense that like there's an integration, and if you have all of the default settings and like you said, if you have everything set up pretty well in your booking software, that is a 1 day turnaround. But you're always going to find out there are always ways to optimize things. And like I think as a team, the Brook team, like we're very committed to helping you out on that journey. So because we know the ins and outs of the booking software, we're able to say, hey, you know what would be really good, like you mentioned, Danielle, like tweaking the service names a little bit, because you're used to thinking about them on your online booking form, but when Brook is speaking it out on the phone, maybe it sounds a little too long. Simple things like that, shorten the service names, or maybe discussing how the finishes or add-ons are set up, especially for color services. So we've been able to kind of consult and learn from you and make some recommendations as well. So it's been an interesting learning process for us. Vinay, do you want?
Yeah, I just want to address a quick question that came out in the chat. So one of the things was, some of the folks are new to their salon management software, whether it's Forest or Mivo, and the question is, how complex is it to learn? How complex is it to set up Brook, and how out of the box it is, right? Maybe I guess I can throw this to Anne and Jen to understand, how much effort did you have to put in to get Brook live? What was it like? And I know we mentioned that it's integrated, it's natively available, and we flipped the switch for you guys, but maybe from your perspective.
Yeah, so I would say it was really straightforward, and we did do a number of tweaks on the back end. One of the things that we use Forest as well, but one of the things that we are moving toward is not all of our service providers are available to be booked online. So that added another level of complexity. I'm not sure about you, Danielle, if all of your providers are online, but I can certainly see that if everyone was, Brook could handle a lot more for us. So she can't answer questions about our service providers who are not online, but that's not her fault, that's ours. And so we're moving towards that path. But I feel like it was very straightforward. There were some, you tapped right into Forest and made the connection. We authorized the connection, and anything that the guests could book online themselves through our app or online booking, Brook could do it. I feel like it was painless and on my perspective, but I will ask you, Jen, because you were more involved in that.
Definitely painless. Like it was very, very simple to set up. You both were amazing to work with. The only thing that I would say that could be potentially something would be that I don't think we should have been more prepared in verbiage in terms of our internal and external, like our guests as well as our staff beforehand a little bit. But as far as just setting it up, we just went with it. We went with it because we didn't really know what we didn't know. So until the things had happened, you kind of almost do have to just go all in, because the setup is so simple, and then you start figuring out where you need to find those tweaks. And because you both have been incredible to work with, those things came very quickly to be fixed as well. So I think,
and a lot of that also revolves around the policies that you want to enforce and so on. So just teeing off of that, I know, Danielle, you mentioned that it is a tough place in terms of training the right people, retaining them, coaching them, and in some cases I've heard that people are shy to talk over the phone, or even to enforce the policies, or to say that, okay, this is our policy, you cannot cancel within this window, or there is a penalty, and so on and so forth. And we know that each business tries to handle cancellations and penalties differently. You would want to, in some cases, you would want to make sure that you get that time back on the book rather than have a no-show, but might want to indicate that, yes, there might be a charge, and you can use a discretion, whether it's a repeat offender or no. So Brook can kind of enforce those policies. How do you find that now that your team probably will have a little bit more capacity, right? Where, and I'm bringing this up because we've heard from salon owners where they would use that capacity slightly differently. In some cases, for a new client, even though Brook has handled everything, when there is a low period or a downtime, the team will actually reach out and make the call, right? Or there are other goals that are given to the team to basically better use the time in order to drive your business. So can you speak a little bit if you've done something interesting? I'll go to Danielle first, and then I'll come back to you, Ann.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we are implementing this year is new guest follow-ups, and that'll be on more of our management team. But our service staff is able to send a quick postcard out, like a thank you and an invitation to come see them again. Something very quick, just personalized, but it is on our management team to follow up with that new guest. And I know you're wondering, like, with all of our free time, what are we doing? But it's not really the case. We don't have a whole lot of free time. It's just more so giving us time to actually think. Say there is a follow-up needed for a guest that's canceling at a 9 a.m. appointment the next day, and it's 8 p.m. and we happen to see it. It gives us time to think. It gives us time to say, okay, is this person new? Do they habitually challenge our late cancellation policy? It gives us time to be human and to think something through before we, charge that person 50% of their service. So I will say it allows us just time to reflect before and find verbiage. Sometimes just finding the right verbiage and tone of voice, and you practice it with the person next to you, and you just check, like, hey, does this sound reasonable? It makes all the difference. Because everybody's human, and I think the person on the other side of the phone doesn't necessarily want to be charged, but sometimes you have to implement that, and it takes a lot of guts. It takes some bravery to implement your cancellation policy.
And enforce it. So, Ann, from your side.
Yeah, enforcing it is the tough part sometimes. But one thing I do want to touch on is you asked if it was super simple to implement. I will say we have Ring Central as well, and I know our general manager Katie was kind of the lead on setting up our lines, but it was a little bit more difficult than she expected, just because there was some things on Ring Central side. But Jody, I believe you helped her and you walked her through like all the process, and that was a very pivotal moment for us as we were in the beta program. We're like, okay, this team is very serious and they want us to succeed, and they're not just going to throw us to the sharks. And that was very nice. But that was like our only delay on setting Brook up, was getting the phone lines all figured out.
Yeah, and thanks for refreshing our memory. That actually is the same for us, because we had 3 test lines during our trial period. That wouldn't work, so we needed that one central line. We need to be able to do call forwarding, and you both did go in on our dashboard on the back end with Ring Central. I forgot about that very important detail, and you made it again. That's probably why it felt so flawless and so easy for us, because you helped, and you really are right there with us for anything. And I think that's one of the things you wanted to speak to, was just how working with them and putting out what the challenges are. There's no defensiveness. It's just very fluid between the two of us in terms of helping create it what we need it to be.
Yeah, and for us with the cancellation policy, and I had spoke with you because that was one of our biggest challenges, was that when we had guests calling to cancel, that they were kind of prompted that they would be charged. And we're kind of not in a position. We are in a position where we're transitioning to a more I don't know where we're at. Deposits. So we are there, but we're not there yet. So having Brooke make those calls where she was answering and saying that you're going to be charged really did limit the guests actually canceling. Most of the time, at least 50% of the time, the guests were saying, never mind, just leave it and I'll call back, or not coming. So one of the major changes that you guys had helped us with was actually just eliminating that first part and actually canceling the appointment, and then just giving that gentle reminder, because that's really what we do. We expect things happen, people have things happen. So that has been a huge change for us, like massive. And you were so not, we always appreciated your willingness to understand our salon and our guests, because not all of them are the same. So it's been really, it's been amazing. Honestly, I can't say enough. Like, you guys have been incredible.
Thank you, Anna and Jen. So I do have a question from the audience here. So one of the questions around, do we work with Weave? I believe it's a telephony provider system. So just to set the context for everybody, Brook lives on a phone number today, so we don't need to change your external phone number. So customers, everything remains the same. And all we need to set up with your telephony provider is call forwarding, right? So previously, I know in our experience, and you guys touched on this, which is with RingCentral or any other system, if you have multiple lines, there is how many rings, whether you do rollover, how it passes from one to another. There is a whole host of settings that are available. And part of the learning for us when we were trying to help you was, how do we get you to do the initial call forwarding? So it turned out it was a very simple process. You no longer needed those, the rolling over. You don't need multiple lines. Maybe you just need one extra line, so that when Brook needs to do the live transfer, it can end up at your desk. But in all that to say that doesn't matter what telephony system that you use, because I'm pretty sure almost all of them support call forwarding. As long as you can enable call forwarding, you should be able to enable Brook for your organization. Okay, Jyoti, how are we doing on time? Anything else?
Let's see. So there was a question, how complex is this to learn, interestingly. And so I think we have more or less answered it, but again, I want to just say, like, in terms of learning, there is very little. So for the dashboard, there is maybe just, I usually do a 5 to 10 minute intro when I'm introducing the dashboard to salons. And sometimes I get a couple of follow-up questions, like, how do I do this, how do I use the filters? And it works just like any other spreadsheet, and so sometimes you need a little guidance, but it has generally been, in my experience, very easy to understand and use. And as far as the actual Brook experience, what Brook is going to do for your clients, there's a bunch of foundational assumptions that we've made based on our interactions with salons and spas. So we know what is the optimal way to do a booking flow, a reschedule flow, a cancellation flow. But like we've heard some of these examples, we've been revising and updating those assumptions based on feedback. So the initial learning process is, there's nothing really to learn. Brook, you will just sort of run with it and be able to take bookings and do the other actions. And then what we ask when you get started with Brook is, let us know where are the places where you're like, I think this could be a little bit better. So it's a learning process for both you as the salon owner or manager and us as the people who design the product. And it's really a give and take there, and we're continuously improving.
Yeah, and I do see a question that what if we have more questions? Do I just type it in? Yes, feel free to type in chat, and if we cannot get to it in the live session, we will definitely follow up via email.
And I just shared my email, jyoti@rosie.ai. So if you have other questions that you think of later, please copy my email, and you can always email me later. Vinay, there's a question about credit cards and payments.
Yes, so Brook right now does not take credit card information out of the box. Now, technically we can, however, it'll introduce a new way of accepting deposits, and then of course where you pay on your, when somebody walks in the salon will be a different system, so reconciliation could be a headache. However, we are working with the salon teams. Now, I can tell you with Forest, we have access to an early integration for accepting credit card information. So that should be coming out very soon. And we're also likewise doing the same with Meebo as well. So, looking forward to announcing that soon.
I think there's another question about outbound confirmation. So let me read this out. Does Brook make outbound confirmation calls and texts? I'm not sure I understand the part 2, but I can answer part 1. So we've been thinking about outbound calls and texts. We definitely have the infrastructure to do that. I think what we're waiting for is a salon or a spa that is very interested, and then we'll implement this. Vinay, is that an accurate answer?
Yeah, so she doesn't do outbound call today because we're waiting for the right use case. One of the first use cases that we are looking into right now is, and we've heard this from the salons, that if somebody calls in sick, it takes a lot of time for us to manage the book and clear the book and reschedule them and inform the customers. That I think is one of the number one pain points, and we're looking to see how we can automate Brook to kind of handle that for you.
Okay, are there any questions that we haven't answered? I think we're looking good, Vinay. And we're coming up on 12:45 my time, so I think I'm good to wrap up.
Yeah, there are people asking for emails. I'm just sharing that. But yes, let's wrap up. And it was great to have both Ann and Jen, your team, as well as Danielle on the call. Danielle, I know a shout out to you because you've been part of our beta program, one of our first case studies, as well as we learned and went forward. So really appreciate you guys coming on and sharing your experiences. And our goal for this webinar is to not just talk about Brook, but also give your experience as business owners and business operators so that the audience can relate to it and understand how they might strategically adopt this. Because one of the things that we've always, we faced was we don't want to lose the human touch, right? So for Brook, the goal is not really to replace humans, but to give you that added capacity and bandwidth so you can be at peace knowing that there is a reliable partner that's handling it when you're not able to. And then you still can manage your time and prioritize what you need to tackle at any given point in time. So with that, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.